Kahalam La Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai by Hashem Rachakadash. Yahweh being the true and powerful mighty name of who the word ignorantly calls God. By Hashem means in the name. Yahushai is the true and powerful mighty name of who the word ignorantly calls Jesus. And the Rachakadash is the Holy Spirit in the ancient Paleo Hebrew. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who I learned this truth from. Peace, blessing, safety, and salutation unto the hopeful elect, to you believers and listeners out there that came back into the faith and obedience of Yahweh Shem Shai. And much love and respect unto you brothers pushing this gospel in sincerity and truth, risking your lives and freedom. May Yahweh Shem Shai continue to bless you and your household. Shalom. Shalom. Alright, today's lesson is focused on these two articles I found revolving around this off-duty cop killing Edomite off-duty cop killing the Israelite Jake named Jason Walker. All right, and the Israelites consist of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native, Seminole Indians, West Indians, and Haitians. And you also have the Israelite foreigners who are like unto the speckled bird, who look like the heathen nations, but their bloodline and lineage goes back unto Jacob. Okay, so this first article is from The Independent. It was 2 days ago. 911 call of Jason Walker shooting reveals nurse being ignored as she tried to save black man shot by white police officer. The 911 call from the shooting of Jason Walker in Fayetteville, North Carolina, has been released and revealed that a frustrated nurse was ignored as she tried to save him. Deputy Jeffrey Hash called 911 after he discharged his firearm on January 8th, shooting Mr. Walker, who was black. The call lasted almost 4 minutes, and Mr. Hash, who was off duty at the time, can be heard saying, "I just had a male jump on my vehicle and broke my windshield. I just shot him. I am a deputy sheriff." It's that Edomite privilege entitlement shit right there. "You said you shot him," the emergency dispatcher asked. "Yes, he jumped on my car. Please," Mr. Hash, who is white, replies. "I am a lieutenant with the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office," he adds, after being asked for his name. Moments later, the dispatcher asks Mr. Hash if he's near Mr. Walker. "I am. He's gone. He's gone, ma'am." "Is he breathing?" the dispatcher asks. "No, ma'am, he is not. He's gone," Mr. Hash says. Then he requested units out because there are people gathering. Mr. Hash added that Mr. Walker scattered the windshield of his red F-150. The city council has requested that the U.S. Department of Justice take part in the investigation, according to the Atlanta Black Star. The officer can also be heard speaking to witnesses on the call, Nurse Elizabeth Ricks, who attempted to help Mr. Walker following the shooting. "Just keep moving, ma'am," Mr. Hash tells Ms. Ricks, who says, "I'm a trauma nurse. I'm a deputy sheriff. Come here. He jumped on my vehicle. I just had to shoot him," Mr. Hash says. When asked what happened by the dispatcher, Mr. Hash said, "I was driving down the road and he came flying across Bingham Drive running, and then I stopped so I wouldn't hit him, and he jumped on my car and started screaming, pulled my windshield wipers off, and started beating my windshield and broke my windshield. I had my wife and my daughter in my vehicle." That don't even sound like something that Jake would do, unless he was high or something, but that don't add up. They're continuing on. The dispatcher asked if Mr. Walker was armed. "No, he just tore off my wipers and started beating the doors and busting my windshield," said Mr. Hash. "There's tons of cars and people gathering around," he adds. After Ms. Ricks can be heard that Mr. Walker is still alive, Mr. Hash says, "He has a light pulse right now. I need an EMS now. I'm seeing blood on the side, ma'am." He adds when he asks where Mr. Walker was shot. Mr. Ricks can be heard in the background of the call calling for a cloth that can stop. No, Miss Ricks can be heard in the background of the call asking for a cloth that can stop the bleeding as she tries to keep Mr. Walker alive. Others in the background of the call can be heard asking where he was shot, to which Mr. Hash replies again with, "He was on the front of my vehicle. He jumped in my car. I don't care about that. Where's the entry point?" Miss Ricks says, seemingly frustrated. Mr. Hash tells Mr. Ricks that he doesn't know where the wound is and adds to the dispatcher that the people around him are hostile. The dispatcher tells Mr. Hash not to engage them. Mr. Hash can be seen saying that people were hostile in a video filmed by Ms. Rick's boyfriend Chase Sorrell. According to the Fayetteville Observer, Ms. Ricks was driving behind Mr. Hash when she spotted Mr. Walker standing on the side of the road. She said that Mr. Walker waited for a car to pass before entering the roadway. According to the nurse, Mr. Hash then struck Mr. Walker. Mr. Hash then allegedly exited his pickup truck and shot Mr. Walker 4 times. Ms. Ricks then got out of her car to attempt to save Mr. Walker. Police had pushed back on Ms. Ricks' claims that Mr. Hash struck Mr. Walker. Fayetteville Police Chief Gina Hawkins said on Sunday that the truck had a black box that would have registered a collision with any person or anything. Ms. Hawkins added that a witness told the department that Mr. Walker was not hit by the truck. By accident reconstruction expert Colin Wynn told Fayette Observer on Thursday that in general, "I have not seen an event being recorded for a vehicle impacting a pedestrian." Mr. Hash's lawyer, Parrish Daughtry, said on Tuesday Lieutenant Hash is devastated for Mr. Walker's family, his own family, the greater community, and devastated by these events. Beyond that, I'm really prohibited from discussing the facts. Ben Crump, the attorney who represented the families of George Floyd and Trayvon Martin, is working on behalf of Mr. Walker's family. We have reason to believe that this was a case of shoot first, ask later, a philosophy seen all too often with law enforcement. We look to the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation for a swift and transparent investigation so that we can get justice for Jason and his loved ones, Mr. Crump's office said in a statement on Tuesday, and that's the end of the article. And then I have another one titled, "It's Not Adding Up. Off-duty deputy tells supervisors people are getting hostile." A 37-year-old black man was shot and killed outside of his home in North Carolina by an off-duty deputy over the weekend in an incident that has sparked protests in the town of Fayetteville amid swirling claims about what led to a deadly confrontation. The Fayetteville Observer reported that around 2:15 p.m. on January 8, Jason Walker lost his life outside his Bingham home after encountering in a roadway with a pickup driving off-duty deputy with the Cumberland Sheriff's Office. Jason Walker, a statement from the Fayetteville Police Department initially alleged that Walker ran into traffic and jumped on a moving vehicle before Deputy Jeffrey Hash shot him. After the shooting, Hash called 911 to report the incident. Witnesses say the deputy did not move to help save the man's life after he was shot, but rather called his higher-ups in the sheriff's department. Elizabeth Ricks got out of a vehicle to try and save Walker by applying pressure to his wounds. Ricks said instead of trying to help, the deputy called the sheriff's office. The following day, Ricks spoke to a crowd at the Fayetteville rally in support of Walker, where she told them she witnessed Walker attempting to cross the street, presumably to get to his home before he was hit by the pickup truck, after which the deputy shot him. The News and Observer newspaper quoted the trauma nurse as saying of Walker, "I did not see anyone in distress. The man was just walking home. It breaks my heart he didn't survive, and I'm trying to cope with that as well," she said at a march on Sunday in protest of Walker's death. I don't want to take away from Jason or injustice, and I'm not going to be silent. Reportedly, two people who claim to be witnesses on social media that they saw the deputy hit Walker with his pickup truck as he was crossing the street and then shoot him. Video of the shooting was posted to social media almost 4 hours later, seemingly starting right after the incident. What can be discerned from the video is that a man in a red pickup truck is on his phone, while two women in a different man are trying to help the man laying on the ground. I don't know where the entry point is. He won't tell me where he shot him. A woman can be heard saying, "I'm trying to protect my daughter and my wife." Deputy Hash says on the phone to someone, "People are hostile right now." As sirens blaze louder and louder, one of the witnesses run over to him and says, "The video records. Nobody is hostile. Don't you say that nobody is hostile." When two FPD officers arrived on the scene, they tried to help Walker, noticing that his pulse was faint. The cops asked if anyone saw what happened and collected statements. A preliminary investigation revealed that Hash shot was not fired through the windshield and that the wiper was not torn off. The report noted that the metal portion of the wiper was used to break the windshield of the truck in multiple spots. At a news conference on Sunday, Fayetteville Police Chief Gina Hawkins clarified rumors about the incident. One thing she noted was that the pickup truck had a black box that would have registered if the vehicle struck any person or thing. She also said that there was only one eyewitness who told law enforcement that Walker was not hit by the truck. Since the incident, the North Carolina Bureau of Investigation has been brought on to review Hash conduct. Though the FBI has been notified, the agency was not tapped to join the investigation. However, the FBI Public Affairs Specialist Shelley Lynch shared with ABC 11, "We are aware of the shooting death investigation in Fayetteville and are regular in contact with local and state authorities. If in the course of the North Carolina SBI investigation information comes to light of a potential federal investigation, the FBI is prepared to investigate." On January 10th, the Cumberland Sheriff's County officers released a statement saying that Hash has been placed on administrative leave pending an internal investigation. Hash has served in the county's law enforcement branch since 2005 and is now a lieutenant in the civil section of the department. Cumberland County District Attorney Billy West announced on Sunday that his office is rescuing itself from the investigation to avoid appearance of a conflict of interest. The probe will be handled by the North Carolina Conference of District Attorneys on behalf of the Sheriff's Office. Lieutenant Patrice Bogarty, the Public Information Officer, offered remarks to the family saying, "Our sincere condolences go out to Jason Walker's family." The family has said to the press that they do not believe what is being reported about their loved one's death. "I don't believe he threw himself on top of a truck," Walker's cousin stated. "I believe he wanted to live. I just want justice for my cousin because it's not adding up." And that's the end of that article. I'll leave the links of both of those articles in the description box. Let's get some scriptures. I'm going to start off with Ezekiel chapter 35 and verse 3. "And say unto it, Thus said the Lord God, Behold, O Mount Seir." Mount Seir is where Esau Edom is from. Okay, so this is letting you know he's talking about Esau Edom, the so-called white man. "I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am Yahweh. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel," which I told you earlier, consists of these so-called Negroes, Latinos, Natives, Seminole Indians, West Indians, and Haitians, and the Israelite foreigners. and had shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time of their iniquity had end. Therefore, as I live, say Yahweh, I prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Said thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that returneth. All right. So Yahweh saying, pretty much saying that he's going to get revenge on the children of Edom for what they did to the children of Israel. Okay. And this is part of the curses as well, which I'm going to grab a little later on. But first, I want to go to the book of Obadiah, chapter 1, verse 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off. Okay. And who is Jacob's brother? Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Okay. Now, let me grab that. This is part of the curses. All right, this is Deuteronomy chapter 28. Jump down to verse 25. Yahweh shall cause thee to be smitten before thy enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. So Esau, Edom being one of the enemies of the Israelites, we're constantly getting smitten down or killed before them, okay, by them. So let me jump down to verse 45. Moreover, all these curses, this is Deuteronomy 28:45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahweh thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. So all these curses from Deuteronomy 28, verses 15 down to 68 are upon us because we didn't we didn't follow the law, statutes, and commandments. Okay? That was part of the agreement we made when he made his covenant with us. But since we failed to do that, we have been cursed. Continuing on. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. So us being under these curses is a sign. That's a sign because, we forgot that we are the children of Israel. We've been called proverbs and bywords. We've been called, everything under the sun except for the child of the Most High, which is Israel. Continuing on, because thou servest not Yahweh thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. Okay? Not follow his law, statutes, and commandments. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies which Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he destroy thee. He's talking about the nation of Israel. Nation of Edom, Salakia. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Okay, which nation has their bird as the eagle? Esau, Edom. Okay, the so-called white man. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young. And that's clearly, they don't care about our people, whether it be old or young. Okay? So let's go to the book of Genesis to prove the birth of Jacob and Esau, that they're, brothers, but they're separate nations. Okay? And Yahweh said unto her, this is Yahweh talked to the mother, Rebecca. 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. And that's talked about in the kingdom of heaven. And technically we are stronger. The Israelites are stronger than the Edomites. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And then when Edomites come out, they're red as hell as well. Okay, they are all different shades of red, pale, pink, and you have some that are actually red. And if Esau didn't do all that shaving that he does nowadays, Edomites get real hairy. Okay, verse 26. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, which is symbolic. Okay, going into the transference of power, because Esau will rule the world first and will rule the world after. Okay, in our kingdom, which will be the kingdom of heaven. Okay. And his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 old when she bare them. Okay, and we all know that Jacob's name is turned to Israel, and everything that Jacob inherited from Isaac, which Isaac inherited from Abraham. Okay, Jacob passed on to his 12 sons, which have grew to be the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. Okay, so still in the book of Genesis, let's go to 27. Let's go to verse 38. Let's see what Esau was blessed with. And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me even also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept, and that's because Jacob supplanted the birthright from Esau. Okay, and that birthright being the kingdom of heaven, being, when it's established here on the earth. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live. And the sword goes into, it can be a literal sword, but any killing instrument. Okay. And we know Esau loved to kill, especially Jake. They men of the field. They're hunters. They say that Esau is a cunning hunter. All right, continuing on. And by the sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass, thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. All right. And I'm going to go and read 41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then when I slay Jacob. And Esau had this in his heart. Even until this day, they want to slay us. That's why they steady kill us down in the street. Because it all goes back to that birthright that Esau sold onto Jacob for porch. All right, so this is Amos chapter 1, verse 11. Thus said Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. All right. So Esau pursued us with the sword from back then even into now. This is an ancient civil rivalry that's going out on display. Okay, because Esau is trying to do everything in his power to get that birthright back, but it's not for him. Okay, it never was his. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and end off there, saying that this is not gonna be the last time an Edomite man kills a Jake in cold blood. Okay, this is going to be happening until Yahweh Shai comes, saves, and delivers us. Okay, the nation of Israel is the only ones who need a savior. All right, nobody else. So I pray and hope that this lesson was edifying. We give our praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai, by Shem Hakadash. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who I learned this truth from. And peace, blessings, safety, and salutation unto the hopeful elect. To you believers and listeners out there that came back into the faith and obedience of Yahweh Shema Shai. And much love and respect unto you, brothers, pushing this gospel in sincerity and truth. With that, Kwame Yasharala, Shalom, Abba, Abba.